Hello everyone, my name is Camila Vives.
And my name is Mateo Ramirez.
Today we are going to expose about corruption.
But what is corruption?
The word corruption in a social and legal approach is defined as a human action that transgresses legal norms and ethical principles. Corruption can occur in any context. In this case, corruption will be analyzed in the political sense.
Political corruption is any transaction between private and public sector. This is often used synonymally with grand or high-level corruption. Usage peculiar from bureaucratic or petty corruption because it involves political decision makers.
What is corruption? Corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. It hurts everyone whose life, livelihood, or happiness depends on the integrity of people in a position of authority. Sometimes its devastating impact is more visible. A father without shoes because he has to pay to get his child into a free school. A small shop owner weekly bribing the local inspector and cutting his modest earnings. Other times, corruption's impact is less visible. The corporations securing a contract through big-hearted kickbacks to corrupt government officials. The lower safety standards buildings, passed thanks to under-the-counter bribes, collapsing in an earthquake.
To strengthen the fight against corruption, in 2003, countries in the United Nations concluded a convention against corruption. The UNCAC is the first global anti-corruption treaty and takes a comprehensive approach to tackling corruption worldwide. Ratified by 148 states by 2010, it includes obligations for governments to prevent and criminalize corruption and to cooperate internationally with other countries. The UNCAC is a major landmark, but only with constructive monitoring will governments take the UNCAC seriously. The countries that are party to the UNCAC adopted a review mechanism, the first ever peer review process in the United Nations system. The mechanism has three bodies which support the review process. All the states that are party to the UNCAC must be reviewed by peer review teams made up of experts from two reviewing countries. The review will x-ray domestic bribery, foreign bribery, embezzlement, money laundering, liability of companies, whistleblower protection, mutual legal assistance, and more. Civil society participation is a key element of a credible review process. CSO's role is to check government's progress in implementing the UNCAC, give suggestions for improvement, and provide support for governments to learn from good examples and to take similar actions.
Only in this way can information be passed, in this way can information be shared by all, and only in this way can society at large determine how the country is faring in its fight against corruption and which are the areas that require additional attention.
Now we are going to talk about cause of corruption. The personal greed that leads to an unlimited desire for money or power, without taking into account the moral limits, the underlying anthropological cause in the innate human impulse on external good, when it's not subject to personal integrity.
The problem is that the moment you decide to be corrupt or commit case of corruption, you don't look at the consequence that this could bring. Now we are going to talk about the consequence of corruption. The first consequence is equality in service. In a system with corruption, there is no quality of service. To demand quality, one might need to pay for it. A clear example of this is the company Electricaribe. an electricity company on the coast of Colombia. For its corruption case, the coast has cut in the light every week, and they are not interested. The only thing they interested them is profit.
The second consequence is lack of proper justice. Due to corruption in the judicial system, the investigation process goes on for decades. In Colombia, we are accustomed to any judicial process, even if it lasts for months or even years, which always hint in the to bribes to judge or persecutors of the part of the guilty parties, or causes innocence to be blamed and the guilty not to be declared as such.
The consequence number three is the daily of employment. Corruption increases employment and encourages informality. This is a reality in Colombian society. Corruption when it comes to pay salaries at the time of an adjustment of the minimum wage, at the time of affiliation to Social Security. This makes the worker look for unions or become a worker informal.
Consequence number 4 is perpetuity in public office. Corruption allows the worst politician to stay in power. This could be seen recently with the case of Roberto Jarlin. Roberto Jarlin is a senator who remained a little over 15 years in the power. You can appreciate the case of famous ex-presidents like Andrés Pastrana, Álvaro Uribe, and César Gaviria. In our country who continued tormented to power and having a lot of influence in the future and present of our country.
Consequence number 5 is the foreign investment. Corruption has decreased foreign investment in the country. Colombia knows perfectly well that this is like a Shihara pride. A case like those of Overbrecht, case like those of the Null Road, hearing of the hearing posters and others. They are cases that hear the multinational that see with bad eye a future investment in the country.
The consequence number 6 is lack of development. Many new industries willing to start in a particular region change their plans if the region is not suitable. In Colombia, new companies tend go to other countries because high taxes, fiscal trends, and tend to go to other countries. And more, where only in Colombia we are lost more than 50 millions in corruption. Only in corruption. Let's talk about illegal mining. Illegal mining in Colombia puts pressure on biological diversity and is one of the main threats to ecosystem in the country. Illegal mining is a real problem in Colombia. Many people say that the real problem in Colombia is drug trafficking, but what is not considered is that illegal mining moves 3 times more money than drug trafficking. Does it sound bad? This is not just a problem. The problem of illegal mining is also the environmental damage it does to the country. The saddest thing of all this that the authorities do very little about this, since regulating this type of mining is extremely difficult because of the topography that Colombia has.
like a sail in a storm. Without you, I'm just a sad song. I'm just a sad song. With you, I fall. It's like I'm leaving all my past and still.
The illegal mining has been spread over the last 5 years by the hand of thousands of rares and bad holes that in a matter of months are capable of turning a desert of dead sand and mercury lagoons into a larger area than any of the urban centers of any other.
In La Toma, mining has always been a communal affair. As their ancestors have done for hundreds of years, men and women of all ages chip away at the rocks in search of gold. It's a way to make a modest living, but also an activity deeply linked to their culture.
I started when I was 5 years old, since I knew what mining was. This unites us. We don't want multinational companies here, or illegal groups with excavators and mercury that pollute the river.
For 20 years, the community has managed to defend their territory from powerful interests in large-scale mining, but now they say they're proving defenseless against the latest threat. Half a dozen illegal mines scar the river along the valley. Under control of armed men, bulldozers dig holes day and night. The community says FARC rebels and criminal gangs exploit them. Leaders received death threats for reporting their presence, and some had to leave.
Armed groups depend on this activity now, so anything we say turns us into a target. We live in fear because we don't know what they're capable of, and we feel the government is not doing anything about it.
Experts say illegal mining now outstrips drug trafficking as the main source of criminal income in many regions.
Increasing the international price of gold, this became a profitable activity, a source of resources for criminal groups. And given that this is by nature illegal, they have to rely on violence in the same way that they do it with drug trafficking, to enforce contracts, to enforce property rights, to control territories.
In San Antonio, over 2,000 people worked at this illegal mine until part of it collapsed, killing 14. Only then did the police shut it down.
It's been like a domino effect. They took away the gold, destroyed the environment, and the very fabric of our once agricultural community. We're left with nothing.
The government says 8 out of 10 gold mines in the country are unlicensed, but seems to be able to do little about it, leading to more violence and displacement for those caught up in the new gold rush. Alessandro Ampietti, Al Jazeera, La Toma, Cauca.
The illegal mining has been spread over the last 5 years by the hand of thousands of rares and bad holes that in a matter of months are capable of turning a desert of dead sand and mercury lagoons into a larger areas than any of the urban centers of any other regions.